This is the only video you need to watch if you want to learn how to make a death in the afternoon cocktail at home. My name is Robin Virpin. I'm a full-time medical doctor. I've been a home bartender for over 5 years now, and I teach other busy professionals how to make cocktails at home. And the death in the afternoon has quite an interesting history. Both the cocktail and the book with the same exact name were created by the very famous author Ernest Hemingway in the 1930s. And for me personally, I find that quite unique because pretty much every other cocktail that I made was invented by a bartender. This one was invented not only by an author, but by Ernest Hemingway, who's one of the most famous authors of the 1900s. And being that it's a drink that it was created in the 1930s, and now I'm teaching you how to make it in 2025, nearly 100 years later, it stood the test of time. So therefore, I find it that it's a pretty good drink if it's lasted that long and people are still drinking it today. The original recipe that Hemingway made is not the one that I'm going to be teaching you today. That's because the way that Hemingway made it, it just called for 2 ingredients, which was absinthe and champagne in a 1-to-3 ratio. And if you drank it with just those 2 ingredients, it's actually quite potent. Absinthe, unlike other spirits, which are generally 40 to 45% alcohol, absinthe is almost always in the 60s. The specific one that I'm using today is 62.5% alcohol by volume. So it's quite powerful. Hemingway also recommended that you drink multiple of them and during the daytime. So as you can see, that's why it gets its name, death in the afternoon. Because if you were to just drink the way he intended it to be made, you drank multiple of them, you drank it in the daytime, for sure you're going to be very buzzed, tipsy, probably even drunk sometime in the afternoon. That's why it's called death in the afternoon, in my opinion. I think it's also a great drink. It has extra special meaning to me because it was one of the signature drinks on the menu for my 30th birthday, I actually hosted my own 30th birthday party. And the theme for my 30th birthday was death of my 20s. And for me, this drink was a natural fit for that because not only does it have death in the name, it also has champagne as one of its ingredients. And champagne is always associated with big, momentous, celebratory occasions, including milestone birthdays like my 30th birthday. So I thought it was a perfect fit for that day. I personally don't believe I've ever made this drink outside of that party, actually. But for me, that's perfectly fine. I think that teaching you guys how to make that drink is a celebratory occasion for myself. I hope that this drink brings you as much pleasure, happiness, and you enjoy the drink as much as I did on that day, and as much as my friends did as well on that day. So let's get into making the drink. The way that I'm going to be doing this is actually, I'm adding also lemon juice and simple syrup. So essentially, this becomes like a French 75 with absinthe instead of gin. So it's essentially an absinthe sour with the addition of champagne. The exact ingredients are going to be absinthe, lemon juice, simple syrup, and what I like to call champagne. If you need champagne, it has to be, if you want to call it champagne, it has to be from the Champagne region of France. But for this drink, you can honestly use any type of sparkling wine, including Brut, Cava, Prosecco, whichever sparkling wine you prefer. You can even use actual champagne. The one that I'm going to be using is called Brut, which is more on the drier side. For my personal taste and for the taste of most of the people that I make drinks for, I find that Brut is generally better than some of the sweeter options, for example. And the exact brands that I'm going to be using, absinthe, there's tons of brands that are local to different parts of the US and Europe. I live on the West Coast, so this one is from Dogwood Distilling, which is a company based in Oregon. There's plenty of others throughout the country and Europe as well. So feel free to use whichever local absinthe you prefer. A good one that I found that's available throughout the United States is called St. George's, so that's another good option as well, or St. George. And then this one is the Santa Cruz Organic Lemon Juice, the lemon juice that I use in all of my videos because it's my absolute go-to. I found it's the best of all the bottled lemon juices. This is my own homemade simple syrup. If you don't want to make your own, then, even me personally, I use store-bought simple syrup for the first 2 years of my home bartending journey, so you can use that. And then this is Gruit, which is a type of American, it's a brand of American sparkling wine. So let's get into making the drink. Because it does contain a carbonated ingredient with the champagne or sparkling wine, I'm going to be using my signature sandwich method, which means that I pour half of the carbonated ingredient into the glass first, then I pour the other ingredients, and then finally the other half of the carbonated ingredient. Before we get started with any of that, though, let's put a couple ice cubes into the glass. Start with about 3. And this drink calls for a total of 3 ounces of sparkling wine or champagne. So the first 1.5 ounces will go in. Be careful measuring this because with the extra bubbles, you need it to settle before you get an accurate measurement. when you get more advanced and stuff like that, you can eyeball just the 1.5 ounces. But and I can do that myself personally. But for you all, I'm just showing you how to do it more accurately. Bartending is, after all, more of a craft than an. It's more of a science than an art. So it's more about precision and accuracy than just getting a feel for the ingredients. So that's the first 1.5 ounces of sparkling wine or champagne. And as mentioned, it's going to call for a full ounce of the absinthe. And because the other ingredients contain a citrus juice and a syrup, we're going to be actually shaking the other ingredients. So that's 1 ounce of absinthe, 1/2 ounce of lemon juice, finally 1/2 ounce of simple syrup, then in order to get a good seal, you want to make sure you put some ice into the shaker. You don't want to shake it dry, otherwise you won't get a good seal and some of the ingredients will spill out. So I'll put in just 1 ice cube for that. The coldness of the ice cube essentially pulls the metal together. So after you do a seal like this, it becomes even tighter with the coldness from the ice. So then after that, shake it for about 8 to 10 seconds. Unlock the tin. You don't need any extra ice, so you can actually go ahead and strain out the drink so you avoid getting that ice cube in there. And then finally, it calls for another 1.5 ounces of sparkling wine or champagne for a total of 3 ounces. As I mentioned earlier, make sure you let the bubbles settle out so you get an accurate measurement. And there you have it, the Ernest Hemingway special, Death in the Afternoon. Cheers. And if you found this video helpful, please subscribe to the channel. I'll be putting out tons of more videos on home bartending tips and tricks, and also specific tutorials to make specific cocktails like the one I made in this video. Thank you. Cheers.